Hello, friends, and on we go. We are in a Treatise on White Magic video commentary. I've got to put that in, don't I? BC. Oh, goodness. How did that happen? Okay. All right. So I'll put it in there. And it's video commentary number 33, and video commentary number 34 is what we're doing now, and it's rule 4.6, 145. So on we go, and DK tells us about these three words, sound, light, and vibration, which we have begun to explore. You know, they appear at different levels of frequency according to the electromagnetic spectrum. We might also say, in a way, that vibration is matter. If vibration is light, and if vibration is sound, or these two factors, sound and light, are the result of vibration, then vibration itself must be matter. But in order for a vibration to exist, division must exist, and real division can only exist in the in-universe state, because in the supra-universal state, supranoumenal state, extra-universal state of no universe, we question, does vibration really exist at all? Of course, it's purely speculative. There must be division if there is to be vibration. Now, the absoluteness is no number. And the question is absolute infinitude essentially no number as well, even though in consciousness absolute infinitude appears? And it has to be an absolutely infinite consciousness of the absolute deity. But lest I go on in this manner, which is uncompromisingly philosophical and obscure, I'll get into what is at hand. DK says, students would find it of value to take these three vital words and trace their relation to all embodied thought forms. A cosmos, a plane, remember a plane is a sphere, a kingdom in nature, a race, a nation. Are all of these spherical in some occult manner? We know the human being is. And we would have to then consider the diverse groups of creating agencies. Solar logoi of various kinds, cosmic logoi, supercosmic logoi, solar angels of various kinds, some being so great that they basically are the solar angel of the solar logos, and who knows beyond that what approximation between the deva and the human kingdom or cosmic man is occurring. Solar logoi, solar angels, human beings, and others. Consider the spheres of the creative process and see how true is the old commentary. Now, notice that word spheres, all beings ultimately are spherical, not necessarily in their outer presentation, but in their closer to their inner essence. All beings are spherical, the closer we come to their inner essence. All right, and here is the old commentary again, and what is it going to say? See how true. Consider the spheres of the old commentary. of the creative process and see how true the old commentary is when it says, goodness, and it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy here. The sound reverberated amidst varying wheels of uncreated matter, but yet the wheels archetypally existed. And lo, the sun and all lesser wheels appeared. So the sound reverberated and caused the appearance. Sound caused the appearance. The light shone forth amidst the many wheels, and thus the many forms of God, the diverse aspects of his radiant robe, blazed forth. And here we must say that appearance is a robe. Whether we're talking about whether we speak of the human vehicles and inner fields, which are still appearing, because they're in the dense physical body of the planetary or solar logos, whether we speak of the human vehicles and their inner fields or of cosmic vehicles. The vibrant, palpitating wheels turned over. Life in its many stages and in its many grades commenced the process of unfolding. We might say this is demonstrating the archetype in time and space. And lo, the law began to work. That is that which any great creator wills in a sustained manner. Forms arose and disappeared, but life moved on. Kingdoms arose, holding their many forms, which drew together, turned together. We might say, revolved just like the wheel of reincarnation, and later separated, but still the life moved on. And remember that the motion of the first ray is called progress onward. Mankind, holding the Son of God, the Word incarnate, broke forth into the light of revelation. So let's just say mankind is ensouled because it contains or holds the Son of God, who is the soul. The Word incarnate is the soul, and mankind appeared. Races appeared and disappeared. The forms veiling the radiant soul emerged, achieved their purpose, and vanished into night. With light no longer shining upon them, and they also deaggregated. Deaggregated. But lo, the life deaggregated. All right, but lo, the life moved on, blended this time with light. As the higher we ascend, the more the light demonstrates, and life shines through lighted, intangible forms. Okay, the more the light demonstrates, S-T-R-A, straits. Okay, as the higher we ascend, the more the light demonstrates, and life shines through lighted intangible forms. Life merged with light in a freed condition, in a more free and less densified condition, because normal forms are densified light. Excuse me. So life merged with light, both blending to reveal a beauty and a power, an active, liberating force, a wisdom, a love that we call a Son of God. So we are talking here about the appearance of the great beings. Now, there is a question, do they appear because of an ascent from below, or are they part of the emanative stream from which the lesser lives are generated? The latter is what I tend to believe, although it's interesting when we think that X number of groups of solar angels make a planetary logos. Through the many sons of God, who in their inmost center are but one, God in his fatherhood is known. So we are looking for the core of being, right? We are speaking of the core of being within each Son of God. SOG. Why not? Why not? No. Here we go. So SOG, SOG, SOGS, and Son of God. We have the plural, but not the singular. Okay. Through the many sons of God, who in their inmost center are but one, God in his fatherhood is known, yet still that lighted life moved on to a dread point of power. I want to say the one point of origin in any universe. And, of course, including the subtlest planes, not just the physical universe. A dread point of power, of force creative, concerning which we say it is the container of the universe, the persistent center of the spheres, the one. Well, this accords with my thought very well. I'm glad to say. It's as if the dread point contains the entire universe and really is that out of which the entire universe emerges. It is the all, the container of the universe, the dread, and I'm saying here, the container of the universe, the persistent center of any universe, the one. Now these are, these are great thoughts provided by the old commentary, and who is the author? And is DK providing for us a translation of symbols in the Censar or some other sacred language which would be entirely impenetrable to us, possibly. This is beautiful, and I want to just read it without my own comments, okay? Consider the spheres of the creative process and see how true the old commentary is when it says, the sound reverberated amidst varying wheels of uncreated matter, and lo, the sun and all the lesser wheels appeared. I just have to say, in a way this seems like our solar system, but Who knows if we're not talking about the universal sun? Anyway, again, the sound reverberated amidst varying wheels of uncreated matter, and lo, the sun and all the lesser wheels appeared. The light shone forth amidst the many wheels. And thus the many forms of God, the diverse aspects of his radiant robe, blazed forth. The vibrant, palpitating wheels turned over. Life in its many stages and in its many grades commenced the process of unfolding. And lo, the law began to work. Forms arose and disappeared, but life moved on. Kingdoms arose, holding their many forms which drew together, turned together, and later separated, but still the life moved on. Mankind, hiding the Son of God, the Word incarnate, broke forth into the light of revelation. Races appeared and disappeared. The forms veiling the radiant soul emerged, achieved their purpose, and vanished into night. But lo, the life moved on, blended this time with light. Life merged with light, both blending to reveal a beauty and a power, an active liberating force, a wisdom and a love that we call a Son of God. Through the many sons of God who in their inmost center are but one, God in his fatherhood is known. Yet still that lighted life moved on to a dread point of power. A force creative, concerning which we say, it is the all, the container of the universe, the persistent center of the spheres, the one. Well, this is a great statement in the old commentary, and of course, one has every expectation that the old commentary is not simply written by one author. And can it be true that the way it is presented to us has to do with the definite poetic abilities that Master DK demonstrates, it seems, in some of his writings? Okay, so we're in Rule 4, and we've read something wonderful here. And this is the 34th program in this series, and we're in Rule 4.6. Okay. We have touched upon two words of significance in this fourth rule, sound and light. What about vibration? Sound and light. And one paramount idea emerges. The soul is to be known as light, as the revealer. So when we say, when we say the soul is light, we mean that the soul is the means of revelation and brings the hidden into appearance, i.e., brings the hidden to light. Whilst the spirit aspect will later be recognized as sound, and this correlates with the idea of the akasha on the second subplane of the cosmic physical plane. Akasha has to do with sound. So the first aspect, well, there's just so many variations here, don't know what to say. The the first aspect correlates with sound, and yet the second aspect relates to the monadic plane also. So, if we change our perspective, our point of view, aspects change. My wife Tuya was showing me the other day how the spirit of peace is correlated with the first aspect when listed with two other types of aspects, not the Hindu Trimurti, but two other factors, let's say. And yet, when we list the spirit of peace with the avatar of synthesis and the Buddha as the triangle surrounding the Christ, we have instead the spirit of peace correlated with the second aspect, and both are true depending upon the angle of vision and the context. Complete light and illumination is the right of the disciple who attains to the third initiation. So this is sometimes called, it's called the enlightenment, the illumination, the transfiguration. Enlightenment. Whilst the true comprehension of the sound of the triple ATOWM, ATOWM, the synthesizing factor in manifestation, appears only to the one who stands master in the three worlds, though still below complete absorption into the monad. Well, this, I have to somehow, make that big so that it stands out. Okay. Complete light and illumination. Of course, the word complete, well, nothing's ever quite complete, but one cannot always write in a way that takes all factors into consideration, otherwise we'd never have any progress onward. So I always want to add relatively, but okay, complete light and illumination is the right of the disciple who attains to the third initiation, the transfiguration, and maybe we can also call it satori. Whilst the true comprehension of the sound, again, which is monadic in nature, is monadic in nature of the triple ATOWM, the synthesizing factor in manifestation. What does a synthesizing factor do? Appears only to the one who stands master of the three worlds. What does a synthesizing factor do? And I might just say a synthesizing factor draws all together into oneness, right? Thought still below the complete absorption into the moment. Okay. The word vibration must next engage our attention, but it may not be dissociated from the next word in the sequence form. Vibration, the effect of divine activity, is twofold. So what is that next word? Let's just see. We've had sound and light. But vibration may not be dissociated. Vibration, the effect of divine activity, is twofold. Well, it's as if vibration seems to be the very first activity. But I also wonder if self-sight or self-observation is not the very first activity. Some kind of division has to enter in order for vibration to occur. Okay, so the effect of divine activity, vibration, the effect of divine activity is twofold. There is the first effect in which the vibration, issuing from the realm of subjectivity in response to sound and light, produces response in matter. So, vibration is more than the visible vibration of matter, and therefore attracts or calls together the atoms out of which molecules, cells, organisms, and finally the integrated form can be built. So, kind of, again, you wonder, is not matter, especially dissociated or distinct units of matter, the result of vibration? Would matter even exist if vibration did not exist? This affected, once this is affected, the aspect of vibration is to be noted as a duality. This is fairly technical, I guess we could say. Vibration. The effect being twofold. The first effect produces response in matter, and yet I'm questioning, is not matter itself vibration? Well, matter is light, but light is vibration. Or is light vibration? As I say, these are matters to be carefully investigated. The form, through the medium of the five senses, becomes aware of the vibratory aspect of all forms in the environment wherein it itself is a functioning entity. Later in time and space, that functioning form becomes increasingly aware of its own interior vibration. We, the human being, and our consciousness become more spiritually introspective. And by tracing back that vibration to its originating source, becomes aware of the self. It seems the self is the source of vibration. The universal self is the universal logos, emerging as light, which is vibration. So, we find that there are different classifications of these factors, different strata of light, different strata of vibration, I suppose, of sound. So, by tracing back that vibration to its originating source, becomes aware of the self, and later of the kingdom of the self. The fifth kingdom, but really also the kingdom of planetary lives and still beyond. Humanity as a whole is aware of its environment, and through the information conveyed by the sense of sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell, the phenomenal world, the outer garment of God, is known. The outer garment of God, the field of maximally densified light, or at least the lowest in vibration. and the most densified in a particular creative sphere, such as our planetary scheme, and others, of course. Humanity as a whole is aware of its environment, and through the information conveyed by the sense of sight, hearing, touch, and taste, and smell, the phenomenal world, the outer garment of God, is known, and communication between the self and what we call the natural world is set up. So, the self being precedes vibration. I just have to say that I believe that is correct. Being is absolutely eternal and precedes and succeeds anything we call vibration. Whoop. Uh-oh. I've done it again, huh? Anything we call vibration. Right. Let's keep the colors correct. All right. As the mind appropriates and synthesizes this knowledge, the dweller in the form passes through the following stages. And we are speaking of quite practical stages and not of metaphysical ultimate realities, which Master DK said he would eliminate these higher considerations. I know I can tend to be mentioning them because they naturally occur to me as I read, but maybe we are outside the scope of what he intends to cover. So as the mind appropriates, so we're back down to the human mind, and synthesizes this knowledge, the dweller in the form passes through the following stages. 1. Vibration is registered, and the environment has its effect upon the form, whatever the level, gross or subtle. Vibration is registered, and some sort of field is acknowledged. 2. This effect is noted but not understood. The man, under the slow and steady impact of this vibratory effect, slowly awakens to consciousness and to awareness. So here in number 1, here we have the tamasic stage mentioned, the tamasic stage somewhat described. But the effect is not understood because at this early stage, the mind of man is not sufficient. The man, under the slow and steady impact of this vibratory effect, even tamas can be vibratory, slowly awakens to consciousness or awareness, from activity to an awakening consciousness. Second aspect of divinity. The environment begins to interest the man, and he regards it as desirable. Note the notes the lower reflection of the second aspect of divinity, awakening. Steadily the attraction of the three world grows and holds the man in reiterated incarnation. The word reiterated is literally and more academically correct than the word repeated. So each of us is really a reiterated word sounding in time and space. Another definition of our being, another thoughtful definition of our existence in universe. We are an iteration, a reiteration, but it's not exactly as previously presented. So if it were purely a repetition, it might be more exact. A repetition might be more identical, exact, or identical. But an iteration is a general repetition, is a general repetition without being exact in detail. Okay, so we're appropriating and synthesizing knowledge and passing through these stages. That's what this is all about. And I didn't know that we would go back to the very beginning of the arising of consciousness. We are discussing external awareness and gradually the manner in which it gives place to internal awareness, awareness of one's own interior vibration. So all the following here, all the following is about awakening to external or interior vibration. And one simply wants that to be big enough to be noted. Okay. Right. So there's the registration, the result, which there are many things we may register but not fully understand even now. The attractiveness of the environment arising. The environment begins to interest the man and he regards it as desirable. He reaches out towards it. You know, the purely instinctual life is a rather small sphere or ring past naught. But now there's more variety that attracts the man. Later, when the vibration of the environing forms of the natural world become monotonous through constant impact over many lives, that's the thing, you know, I've been through that, I've lived through that, I've had enough of that. There's a surfeit here, and even, you know, if one keeps feeding on that, there arises this nausea, you know. So the man turns a deaf ear and an unseeing eye upon the familiar phenomenal world of desire. He becomes, we might almost say, through monotony and boredom and resultant boredom, insensitive to its vibratory impact and increasingly aware of the vibration of the self. DK said true aspirants are really not much oriented to acquisition. I'm paraphrasing here, but in the three lower worlds. They have a different attitude. For them, it is a field of service, but not a field in which desire for externalities is fulfilled. Externalities. And now we move on. Still, it's amazing how we can cover so many millions of years in just a few points. Later on the path of probation and of discipleship, this subtle vibratory activity exerts an increasing allure, magnetism. So you know how it is when we've had enough of something. We just lose interest and turn to something else. It's this way in relationships. It's this way with environmental factors. It may be this way with certain kinds of studies or activities. The outer world ceases to attract. The inner world of the self assumes a paramount place in the desired nature. You know, one can give one's whole life to meditation, let us say. The yogi, as an advanced person who retreats to the forest or the cave, as was more possible in those early days, had lost all interest in the outer world per se and was pursuing inner contacts and powers which would allow him to relate differently and in service to the outer world. Little by little, using the language of modern psychology, within the outer form, which is the response apparatus for the process of becoming aware of the phenomenal world, the disciple builds a new, subtler response apparatus wherein subjective worlds can be known. We become, rather non-responsive to ordinary activities in the outer world. Rather non-responsive to activity, in the outer world. And even if facing the outer world, our sensitivities are discerningly turned to that which has caused the appearance with which in former times we would be sufficiently interested to engage, and now we're not. But we can see the causal factors, and by relating to them, we can help to change the appearances so that they are more in line with the divine plan. So when this stage is reached, there ensues a steady turning away from vibratory contact with the outer worlds of form and an atrophying of desire in that direction, although the inner world is vibratory too. Let's remember that the inner world is also, up to a point at least, vibratory. Now, one of the questions I've always asked myself, is there in universe such a state as non-vibratory reality? The whole universe is a vibratory phenomenon in the sense that the rhythm of the great breath, which is a vibration at vast and extended vibration, causes every universe. But from the practical perspective, this has been the experience of, I would say, all of us. Why are we interested in these matters? The outer world, which seems to arrest the attention of so many, I did see a movie the other day. I forget what it was called. All the Money in the World. Oh, great actor Christopher Plummer playing the role of John Paul Getty, one of the richest men at the time, and how absolutely attached he was to the factor of money. And it meant more to him even than the life of those who were important to him. Anyway, we've been through this ourselves. Otherwise, we wouldn't be turning our attention to these subtle factors. All seems arid in this stage and undesirable, and all fails to satisfy the ardent, aspiring soul. We might say, nothing more to acquire. And surfeit would be the result, and I used a strong word, nausea. The difficult process of reincarnation toward a new world, a new state of being, and a new condition of awareness is set up. And because the inner subtle response apparatus is only in an embryonic condition, there is a devastating sense of loss. Now, this is definitely transitional and will be lived through. But we're not interested in what is outer, and we're not equipped to register the amazing variety of what is inner. A groping in the dark, a period of spiritual wrestling and exploration that tests the endurance and steadfastness of purpose of the aspirant. These are Vulcanian factors to the very limits. DK, I suppose, is, recording a bit of personal history when he shares these things with us. So, because of the aridity and the undesirability and the incapability of the lower 18 subplanes to satisfy the ardent and aspiring soul, which means the questing consciousness seeking to return to its all-inclusive state, new approaches are set up. A new world is anticipated, and through reincarnation we become reoriented to that new world, always hoping to improve by working upon our sensitivity. New awarenesses are longed for, but we're not there yet, and many previous satisfactions drop out of our hands, and new ones are not yet ours because we haven't developed the capacity to make them ours. So we get tested, and either we've been through that or are going through it, or we'll go through it. But, and this is the encouraging point to be remembered, all, quote, proceedeth under the law, and naught can hinder the work from going forward. And naught can hinder now the work from going forward. Even from book to book, some of these rules are slightly differently written. Note these words in Rule 4. There comes a stage when a man is verily and indeed founded on the rock. We might say, like Peter. It would be really interesting to know what was the prevailing astrology of the disciples of the Christ. Someday we will know, and maybe we'll see why they went through the experiences they did while the Christ was overshadowing the Master Jesus and later. So there comes a stage when a man is verily and indeed founded on a rock, and though he may experience the alternation of light and shade, the hill and valley experience, right? And though the waves of purifying waters may roll over him, and later the waves of fire, and these waves of water, and threaten to sweep him off his feet, and though he may feel himself deaf and dumb and blind, naught can ultimately defeat the purpose of the soul, which will bring the soul in incarnation into freedom. Well, let's call it relative freedom. All freedom is relative. Even the central monad is imprisoned in the temple of Ezekiel. That has to be broken. I mean, every form of emanation is imprisonment. Compared with the absolute or the initial and final state of the universal logos. All that is lacking in the developed spiritual body, which is equipped to respond to all that is lacking is the development of the spiritual body, which is equipped to respond to the vibration of the inner spiritual world. We have the undeveloped causal body, and also what else? Goodness. If I put my hand down wrongly on the mouse pad, I certainly get a very big reaction. All right, this is going to go to the science of the breath. Naught can hinder the work from going forward. Okay. So, the development of the spiritual body, and also the development of the triadal vehicles, two of which, well, they're all coordinated or organized at different times. So let's just say the coordination of the Buddhic vehicle is following on the third initiation in most of the references DK gives, and I suppose the coordination of the atomic vehicle, its final condition as a real vehicle for the monad, is occurring after the fourth degree, and the abstract mind is being worked on after the second degree and comes into a real utility around the time as we approach the third degree. So the developed spiritual body is not quite there. And by that, maybe we mean especially the spiritual triad. It exists in embryo, and the secret of its use lies in the attitude of the brain to the functions of the etheric body, as it exists as an intermediary between the brain, the nervous system, and the mind. Brain, nervous system, etheric body, mind. Okay. EB. Or between the soul, mind, and brain. But between the brain and the mind, the etheric body exists. The mind can use it and energize it. The soul can use it. And when we speak of the brain, we have to think of the etheric brain as well as the dense physical brain and the stimulation of both. This cannot be elaborated here, but the hint can be given for the reflection of the keen aspirant. I suppose that's one who's really willing to follow out the hints that he recognizes or which Master DK calls to his attention as a hint. There are many vicissitudes, but the man will keep going forward, and the soul will drive him forward. The ultimate driver, of course, is the monad, but as the soul works, really, it is the monad behind it, and of course, the assistance of the angel of the presence, solar angel, angel of the presence. We have therefore the following stages dealt with in Rule 4 and pointed out with lucid clarity, and yet with that parsimony of phrase which distinguishes all occult and symbolic writings. I guess I have to give up thinking that my writings are occult, because I haven't mastered this parsimony of phrase. Rather, we have endless elaboration. Well, we have reached, are reaching the point here where I suppose I can read this and then get into it a little later. So, we have therefore the following stages. So the integration of the form and the results of the activity of the soul through the use of sound, light, and vibration. Number 2, the development of response apparatus for use in the phenomenal world. We have a response apparatus, but it's not terribly useful until later in the development of man. But even in the early stages here, which I think, we're passing, noting, it has its utility. Number 3, the eventual turning away from the phenomenal world as the result of use and consequent satiety, and the gradual use of the subtler response apparatus, which has been growing along. Number 4, the response apparatus of the soul, mind, etheric body, and brain. And let's remember the nervous system in there. Yeah, and nervous system is reoriented, and the man becomes aware of the kingdom of the soul and of the kingdom of nature, moving from interest in the 4th kingdom of nature to interest in the 5th. But millions of years must pass. Number 5, the turning away from the kingdom of the world, the lower 18 subplanes, to the kingdom of the soul, becomes an esoteric habit, and in this thought lies hid the secret of esoteric psychology, always evaluating the people with whom we work from the esoteric perspective and not from the perspective of what we see externally. The man is stabilized in the spiritual life, and naught can hinder now. Either he is then initiate of the 3rd degree stabilized within the soul, or he has been working to move towards polarization within the spiritual triad, such as is the case for the masters of the wisdom. All right. So that was a little too fast. So I will just say that when we next resume, whenever that is, even if later this evening, we will start here. So this is the end of a treatise on white magic, a video commentary number 35. Pages. Okay, rule 4.6 and pages what? Pages what? Right before science of the breath. Well, I wish this were a little easier to see. Page 150 is there, and page 149. So this is page 148. And if we went back a little bit, I think it's, I wish my memory would hold this, 145. So 145 to 148, not a lot of pages covered, but then we are proceeding in depth as much as may be possible. We're getting close to Rule 5, aren't we? Yeah, we are. And maybe the next time we do finish that. So 145 to 148. So the next time will be our last, I suspect, on this rule, beginning of a treatise on white magic video commentary number 36, rule 4.7, page 148, until the end of this rule. And then we will review this summary that Master DK has as he looks at the developing life of early man from the creative aspect, and it will have its parallel in the white magical creative process. Okay, thank you, friends. We're rolling along. Let's see, that would be number 34. Is that correct? Maybe I've done it again, huh? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 34. It's only 34. Oh, goodness. I was about to jump the gun. Hoping. So this is 34 here, and then into 35. Glad I checked on that. All right, we'll see you soon, and we will continue. All the best. Let's study deeply and learn, assimilate, and apply the best we can. See you soon.